What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. You know the old saying, methinks thou doth protest too much. Well, when we talk about the loudest critics of the worldwide sensation, The Sound of Freedom, which is now projected to surpass $100 million, it seems that a lot of them may have some interesting skeletons in their closet. Well, my news organization, thepublica.com, has recently published a very interesting look into some of the loudest critics of the film. And guess what? They are known and have many times tweeted support of, how do I say this? Full-grown adults who are fans of the playground. You know, they might hang out there, even though they don't have anyone with them to enjoy it. If you catch my drift, and obviously given how spicy this video is going to be, I want to shout out to this video sponsor, Goldco. Until now, the digital dollar, or CBDC, has been nothing but a headline. But right now, things are developing at a rapid pace. It started with sweeping executive order from the Biden administration, and now central banks are even hiring for their development. Here's the thing. A digital dollar can be used to track your purchases, control what you buy, and even seize or freeze your assets. That's why it's critical you protect your money with precious metals like gold and silver. I've partnered with the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco, because they're a great company with an amazing reputation. Right now, they're giving you up to $10,000 in free silver while supplies last, plus all qualified callers this week will receive a free Ronald Reagan silver coin. Don't wait until all of your money is under the control of the Biden administration. Go to the link in my description right now to get started today. You've got to use my link to qualify for it, so I hope to see that you can head on over right now. Now, the story is Bloomberg. Now, make sure you use the link, by the way. That's how you qualify for it. So, Bloomberg has published a negative review of The Sound of Freedom penned by a writer who has expressed sympathies for, well, Noah Berlatsky, who called them a, quote, stigmatized group, slammed the film's message on protecting kids. Here's the article over on thepublica.com for more information. Now, interestingly enough, oh, by the way, quarteringgold.com is the link. Bloomberg is under fire after publishing a scathing review of Sound of Freedom penned by a writer who's expressed sympathies for, well, the worst people on the planet. Noah Berlatsky called the new protecting kids film a, quote, QAnon dog whistle. Berlatsky's July 15th opinion piece argued that Eduardo Versteg, I'm going to mispronounce, I'm so sorry, Eduardo's blockbuster film Sound of Freedom connects conservative conspiracy theorists with the mainstream. Berlatsky slams the film as conspiracy fodder and claims that that's why Trump's screening it and that's why its popularity is ominous. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The reason all these weirdos were, so aggressively against this film is either they like little kids, which I think is probably more than a few of them, or they just see it as a way to go after Trump. Sound of Freedom follows a U.S. federal agent who rescues a boy from evil people before embarking on a dangerous mission to try and rescue the victim's sister. While the film has been highly praised by audiences, earning an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, some liberal outlets have condemned it. But Berlatsky's review is attracting ample attention on social media, as many have pointed out that he once served as communications director for a pro-ped organization. Yes, they actually exist. It was called Prostasia. Independent outlet Redux has previously revealed that their campaign efforts have almost exclusively been directed at ending bans on those films of the little kids, demanding that dolls that they enjoy be kept legal, and funding research into, well, disgusting things. The organization has also condemned people disliking these creeps as harmful Nazi-like rhetoric, calling for social media platforms to censor those who speak negative about them. In addition to his work for this company, Berlatsky, infamously penned the article in 2016 lamenting the treatment of kids engaged in survival hookup by police, calling them hookup workers, prostitutes. Berlatsky framed kids forced into this type of activity as willing participants in legitimate employment, labeling those kids as they're just in the industry. Berlatsky wrote the biggest danger was police protecting them. One year, Berlatsky used similar rhetoric on social media in a tweet where he called the group of creeps a stigmatized group, expressing sympathy for them. Peds are essentially a stigmatized group. Certain people get designated as deviants and people hate them. What? Now, some of you might be thinking, hey, this is odd. This is very odd. I wonder what this guy's hard drive might contain. And I think that's a reasonable question, as I'm asking myself the same thing. His Twitter thread on the matter, quote, said that young people of any gender who trade hookups face arrest and bad behavior from police, and no one is very interested in actually helping them. In his review of The Sound of Freedom, Berlatsky claims that the film's representation of trafficking is, quote, misleading. He cites a data collaborative writing that 67% of the kids who are trafficked are 15 to 17-year-olds rather than, quote, young ones. Is that supposed to make it better, you weirdo? Is that supposed to make it better, you absolute creep? He goes on to clarify that he does not believe someone who's 15 to 17 should be considered a young kid. Well, I bet you he doesn't. I bet you he'd love to spend a little time with them. The former director also referred to Miles Klee's review for the Rolling Stone, which labeled Sound of Freedom a superhero movie with dads with brainworms. Klee similarly asserts that the film is little more than a delusion and that foments moral panic and is overly exaggerated, and much of it funneling people into conspiracist rabbit holes and Q communities. You know, the anybody who writes, look, okay, let me put it this way. Let me be very clear. It's entirely possible that people didn't like the movie, okay? I mean, not every, there's a lot of times people are like, oh my God, you have to see this movie. It's so great. And you watch it and it's not very good, or it's just not your thing. A critic saying like, hey, I didn't think the movie is that great, that doesn't really pique my spidey senses. It doesn't make me think there's something weird going on, right? But when they write these so fantastically over the top and so like self-reporting stories that they themselves must also enjoy these things, or if they're trying to minimize it, I don't really know what to think, right? Despite the scathing reviews from mainstream outlets, Sound of Freedom has performed well at the box office, already grossing over $85 million as of the 4th of July, compared to its $14.5 million budget. Now, that's as of the 4th of July. That's not true. That's as of earlier this week. Former President Donald Trump is set to screen the film at the Trump National Golf Club on Wednesday, July 19th. His official website says he'll be joined by the producer and the actor and Tim Ballard. Trump has released a statement ahead of the event calling out liberal media outlets like New York Times, LA Times, The Hollywood Reporter for refusing to review the film, but also slams Rolling Stone, Washington Post, CNN, The Guardian for trashing it and mocking those who purchased tickets. The Washington Post, which also published Berlatsky's review of Sound of Freedom, was under fire last fall for publishing a glowing review of an off-Broadway play which appears to sympathetically portray these exact same creeps. You see, Sound of Freedom is projected at a $100 million mark this week alone after its second week in theaters, with the audience increasing more than 37% over the film's first weekend at the box office. So it's so rare when, a film gets legs like this, where more people are seeing it now than when it was released. While the entire summer box office lineup is underperforming. Our small independent film continues to grow week over week, said Jared Giese, SVP of Global Distribution for Angel Studios. Driven by millions of fans and supporters, Sound of Freedom has become a national and soon international movement for change. There have only been 10 wide release movies in the box office history that have had a second weekend greater than 35% over their original weekend. All of them did it at Christmas, by the way. Angel Studios is the only studio to do it in a summer blockbuster season with Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom comes from the same studio responsible for the popular faith-based television series, The Chosen. Film has done incredibly well in the middle of the country. Well, yeah, I mean, it should do well everywhere, to be honest. So, yeah, not surprised at all. Remember to check out quarteringgold.com today. Get some read up on it. Give them a call, see what's going on, see if it's for you. And we'll talk to you again real soon.